Good morning, my dear students, and once again, I welcome you back to the English online classes. Hope you all are doing well. And let's continue with this chapter, the address, which I have started in the previous video. Before continuing with the chapter, let's have a quick recall of what we people have done in the previous class. The address, which is written by Marga Minko. Basically, this chapter is rendering two very special messages to all of us. That is, the first one, that is, war is not useful for anyone, or war is never good, with the not even for the people who get victory in the battle, nor for those who lose the battle. Both are on the sides where big losses of property, human life, etc. have to be bear by both the parties, whether the victory, those who are the winners or those who are the losers. The second thing that it tells us is about to be beware of manipulators, to be careful of people who use others for their own selfish motives. In this story, as I told you, there is our narrator, and the story is about this narrator who is the daughter of one which has been mentioned as Mrs. S in the story, goes to collect her mother's belonging after the war uh, called off, and after, or you can say that we are going through the time period when the war got over and she desired to collect the belongings of her mother. So reached at the doorstep of that person who had kept her mother's belonging with a promise that it will be returned back to her when she comes back. She reaches there, rings the bell, and the door was opened most probably by the same lady. And when our narrator, she asked whether the lady recognized her, the lady totally declined. She denied recognizing her. And for a moment, our narrator also thought that maybe she is confused and she had rung the wrong bell, because she too don't remember the lady very well, as she had just a glimpse of her when she was going out of the house, and because of that reason she was not very sure. But when she saw that lady wearing the green knitted cardigan of her mother with faded wooden buttons on it, she was sure that she was on the right doorstep. And then she said that, "You knew my mother, isn't it?" And the lady, she gave the answer that she never expected anyone to return back after the war. And our narrator said she did. And then she said to the lady that she wanted to have a few wanted to have some few moments with her, about she wanted to talk to her about something. And the lady, she said that it is not convenient, not okay for her or comfortable for her to talk right now, because some other things are there to catch up maybe. And then she said that maybe some other time she will give uh, the narrator. And then she closed the door on her face, and the narrator stood over there thinking what has happened. And then she came out, and while she was going out, she just looked at the nameplate out on the compound, most probably where it was written Darling. So this character's name is Mrs. Darling, and number 46. This was the address which was given to her by her mother, given to the narrator by her mother. Actually, what happened is that before the war, when our narrator came to her home, due to some reason, at that time she found that the things were a little odd at home, like as if though maximum things were missing. And when she inquired from her mother was surprised that she noticed it. And then came out the introduction of this lady called Mrs. Darling, who recently renewed her contacts with narrator's mother. And then the story began. So let's see what is further. "Every time she leaves here, she takes something home with her," said my mother. "She took all the table silver in one go, and then the antique plates that hung there. She had trouble lugging those large vases, and I'm worried she got a crick in her back from the crockery." My mother shook her head pityingly. "I would never have dared ask her. She just suggested it to me herself. She even insisted. She wanted to save all my nice things. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything, she says. Okay, now narrator's mother, further she said that basically it was this lady, Mrs. Darling, who takes away something or the other whenever she visits her. She had taken all the silvers means all the silver items in one go itself, and then she had taken the antique plates which were hanging on the wall over there, and even she had so much of trouble taking the large vases. And when she took the crockeries, the narrator's mother, she was worried that she got a sprain on her back. And then narrator's mother seems to be very pitiful towards the lady, that she's taking so much of trouble in carrying narrator's mother's belongings. And then she said to the narrator that that lady herself suggested that she will keep all her things, means narrator's mother's things, in her custody safely, and when the war will go away, means war will get off, then she can come and collect. Because if she suddenly has to, if the narrator's mother suddenly has to leave the place and go, all her things will get destroyed. So our narrator, she asked, have you agreed with her that she should keep everything? I asked. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. It would simply be an insult to talk like that. And think about the risk she's running each time she goes out of our door with a full suitcase or bag. Okay, narrator's mother seems to be a little simple, and very easily she believes people. But narrator was different. The narrator, she said, so our narrator is little different. She said that whether before giving the things for her to keep, have you taken something, some kind of an agreement from her? Oh my god. The mother got angry, and she said that, oh, is that necessary? Don't you think that if I ask her something like that, it will be an insult for her? You just think how much risk she's taking every time she's coming here and filling the suitcase and taking that full suitcase or bag every time out of the house. I said, mother seems to be a little simple and innocent. My mother seemed to notice that I'm not entirely convinced. She looked at me reprovingly, and after that we spoke no more about it. See, this is, I think, story of every house, that if one believes, especially like for example, if there is a friend of yours and your mother says that you must not meet that friend of yours, not good company for you, and then when you give an excuse that how you know about my friends, etc., etc., and all, then the way the mother looks at you when she's not convinced, and then how the things are between you two, here also the same thing is there. Mother is convinced that Mrs. Darling is a very nice lady, and it was really very humble on her part that she had insisted on keeping her things, her belongings safely with her till they come and take it back from her. But the girl is not convinced at all. Means our narrator, daughter of Mrs. S, is not convinced at all, and mother, she looked at her like, oh, you are not believing my friend, huh? And then they never spoke about this matter again. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station without having paid much attention to things on the way. I was walking in familiar places again for the first time since the war. But I did not want to go further than was necessary. I did not want to go further than was necessary. I didn't want to upset myself with the sight of streets and houses full of memories from a precious time. Okay, all these thoughts were going on in her mind at the time when she was moving towards the railway station to catch the train back from where she had come. Now, while she was going, she was trying her level best not to pay attention to the surrounding, because she was walking through the familiar places since the war was over, and from that time till now, this was the first visit of hers, and she didn't want to upset her, because there were a lot of sweet memories which were attached to this very beautiful place of hers, and it was a precious time being spent over there in Holland by her and her mother. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling in front of me again, as I had the first time I met her. It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about her. I had got up late, and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out. a woman with a broad back. There is my daughter, said my mother. She beckoned to me. The woman nodded and picked up the suitcase under the coat rack. She wore a brown coat and a shapeless hat. Does she live far away? I asked, seeing the difficulty she had going out of the house with the heavy case. In Marconi Street, said my mother. Number 46. Remember that. Okay. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling. Don't get confused over here. In the train means while she was sitting down there in the train, she again recalled that particular moment when she had seen Mrs. Darling for the first time. And it was one morning, that particular morning, before which she had been informed about, or she was introduced about Mrs. Darling by her mother. So that morning she got up late, and while she was coming down through the staircase, she saw that her mother was seeing off someone, means she was saying goodbye to someone, and it was a woman, and that woman, she was having a broad back, means maybe she was a fat lady, and that's why she was having a broad back. And then when mother saw narrator coming down, she just introduced her daughter to that woman, and she said that, see, there's my daughter. And that lady, she beckoned, she greeted her from very far. And the woman nodded and picked up the suitcase, which was kept under the coat rack. You might be knowing that in foreign countries and all, basically there is always a coat rack where the outsiders who come, or even the family members also, when they come, they keep their hat, umbrellas and coats. And then this lady, she was wearing a brown coat and she was having a shapeless hat. After just casually greeting the narrator, that was the only meeting of narrator and this lady, Mrs. Darling. After she had gone, our narrator, she asked her mother, do she live very far away? Where do she live? Because she found that that lady, she was carrying a heavy suitcase, means this time also she had carried a lot of things from Mrs. S house, and then she just worried how she will take all those things home. So at that time her mother told her the address of Mrs. Darling. So she said Marconi Street, number 46, and she asked our narrator to remember it. I had remembered it, but I had waited a long time to go there. Initially, after the liberation, I was absolutely not interested in all that stored stuff, and naturally, I was also rather afraid of it, afraid of being confronted with things that had belonged to a connection that no longer existed, which were hidden away in cupboards and boxes and waiting in vain until they were put back in their place again, which had endured all those years because they were things. Marconi Street, number 46. This address our narrator remembered, but she waited a long time before coming to collect those belongings. Actually, after the war got over and the liberation was attained, she was not interested in gathering the collections of her mother. Reason? Actually, she was frightened. Frightened of seeing those things and remembering the person who no longer existed. Means Mrs. S was no longer in this world. Her mother was no longer in this world. So she was frightened to be confronted, to confront of all those things, the things which belonged to her mother, which were very precious to her mother. And she believed that these all things were somewhere hidden away in the cupboard, packed up in the boxes, waiting over there to be used again in their appropriate places. And they had been there waiting because they are just things. But gradually everything became more normal again. Bread was getting to be a lighter color. There was a bed you could sleep in unthreatened, a room with a view you were more used to glancing at each day. And one day I noticed I was curious about all the possessions that must still be there at that address. I wanted to see them, touch, remember. Okay, now this previous paragraph I told you, after the war got over and still a lot of difficulties were there, she believed that there is no use of going and collecting the things because it will keep on reminding her about her mother. But things became normal once again, slowly, gradually. And see to the line, bread was getting to be a lighter color, means there was easy availability of food. Now she don't have to starve any longer. There was a bed you could sleep in unthreatened, means she was having a shelter of her own. She could sleep without any fright. A room with a view you were more used to glancing at each day. Maybe when the war was going on, even after the war ended up, their condition was very bad and she never had a roof over her head and she had to move from one place to another. But now she had a room. That means this line, a room with a view you were more used to glancing at each day, means she was having a roof over her head, and that room she can come into. She can spend her time there in that room. So she was having a roof over the head. That is what the meaning of it means, a permanent place to live. And then suddenly one day she became curious to get all the things that belonged to her mother, possessions, all the belongings of her mother. And she believed that maybe that was still there in that address. Which address? Yes, Marconi number 46. And then she wanted to go see them, touch, and then to remember her mother. After my first visit in vain to Mrs. Darling's house, I decided to try a second one time. Now a girl of about 15 opened the door to me. I asked her if her mother was at home. No, she said. My mother's doing an errand. No matter, I said. I'll wait for her. Now, the first visit means when the narrator met Mrs. Darling. Mrs. Darling opened the door when the bell was rang. When the bell rang, and she said that she don't want to talk right now, and it's not the convenient time. And she closed the door on the face of the narrator. So the narrator thought that after this first failure, let me try once again. So she again visited the same address, and this time when she rang the bell, instead of Mrs. Darling, a girl of around 15 opened the door. So, guessing that she might be daughter of Mrs. Darling, she asked her if her mother was at home. She said no. She had gone out for some work, errand, means some work, some job, some kind of work outside. Then our narrator said that okay, no matter, no problem, I will wait for her. I followed the girl along the passage. An old-fashioned iron Hanukkah candle holder hung next to a mirror. We never used it because it was much more cumbersome than a single candlestick. Okay, now from here onwards, she's going to get a lot of surprises for her. She thought that all the belongings of her mother were all packed up in the boxes and kept somewhere in the cupboard, lying down somewhere in the corner in the cupboard. But now, when she followed the girl throughout the passage into the house, the first thing that she saw was an old fashioned iron Hanukkah. Iron Hanukkah means lots of candlestick stands together. Like how a chandelier is in the house, in the center, in the living room where people hang. In the same way, it is on the wall. Okay, and it's kind of a candle holder, you can say, but numerous number of candle holders will be there, and it was hanging just next to the mirror over there, and it belonged to her mother, means narrator's mother. She immediately recognized her. It was a shock for her. Her mother's belonging was hanging on the wall of Mrs. Darling, and they themselves never used it because it was very cumbersome, means too many, so looked very complicated using it, and they always used the single candle stand only. So this is how it happened. So this is not the end. Again, many more things were waiting for her, which we will be seeing in the coming up videos. And I hope that you people are going through the videos, because as I have told you, very soon your midterm exam will be starting. So please watch all the videos and stay punctual to it and study well. So till we meet again, goodbye and stay safe.